Hey everyone, it's Jack, and today I'm going to take a look at Garuda Hyprland. Yes, Hyprland is one of my favorite window managers that I never get to use. And the reason for that is because I typically have issues with Wayland. However, Garuda is one of my favorite distros, and I haven't taken a look at it in a long time. When I got back on this page and noticed that they had a Hyprland release out, I couldn't resist. I had to get out here and take a look. And who knows, it's been a few months since I've used Hyprland at all on a daily driven basis. So a lot can change in a few months in the world of Waylands. And actually it was quite usable, except in the content creation aspect of it. That's where I was kind of having some issues with some of my content creation software and audio and so forth. So you never know, it may work now. So what is Hyprland? Hyprland is a compositing window manager. And I don't know if that's technically correct, but that's what it kind of seems like to me. And Hyprland, it just seems to be so superior to all the other window managers I've used. Currently, I'm daily driving BSPWM, which is based on Xorg X11. And I love it. I just never have any issues with it at all. It just runs flawlessly for me. I can pretty much say the same thing with Hyprland. I've worked out the config on it before, and it's very easy to configure. I think it's a fantastic window manager. It's just the Wayland part that kind of gets to me. And so I'm kind of hoping that maybe I'm able to get past that now. So I'm going to get out here and get Garuda Linux Hyprland and get a gander at what their bin is all about featuring Hyprland. This is something I haven't looked at all. I've looked at various Hyprland bins from other distros, but not Garuda. And so to me, I really got my curiosity up here, and I just got to get it. So I'm down at the download page, and of course I have the link in the description below. And I'm going to grab this right now, load it in, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so here I am. I'm into my boot up here. So I'm booting into the live version. And so we'll kind of see what this is like. And Garuda has never really disappointed me on their other desktops. And Hyprland is probably not going to either, but you never know. Okay, and here we are at our login screen. And wow, that's a gorgeous login screen, actually. Really like that as well. So we'll get logged in here. And wow, beautiful desktop. Even has a weather app up there. That is awesome. I am liking that too. Very cool. So beautiful background, and if I click on that, let's see what that is. Wow, it even opens up something. Okay, so that's WTTR. How cool is that? Looks like it's coming out of Essen aus Deutschland. Wow, by default, very cool. So we'll close that, but man, I gotta tell you, I haven't even messed with this yet, and I'm already excited. And here we got a cheat sheet, beautiful pop-up again. And so here we can kind of see our shortcuts and know right off the bat our essentials. Even has the file manager in there as well. I am super liking that. Very cool. On the cheat sheet there, I think, let's see, the installer was Super I. Okay, that's easy enough. I for installer. So I'm going to just hit that, Super I, and install. So let's select that and go with our install. Excellent. And so here we are. Cool. Beautiful theming there done. That's a Calamares installer there. And I'm just going to scooch up here a bit, get out of the way. And so here's our options. I just went with the defaults on the other couple options there for your keyboard and language and all that. And then here we have our disk options here. And typically I just go with erase disk, but you can also manually partition or simply replace a partition. But I think I'm going to probably go with erase disk. After that, we get our summary here. And so that all looks cool and groovy. I'm just going to hit install. And then I'm going to let it do its thing and click it again to confirm. So that's going to erase everything on my disk. And then if everything goes okay, it's going to install. So I'm going to just pause this right now, and I'll be right back when it's done. Okay, we made it. Survived the install. So I'm just going to go ahead and reboot this, and then we should be into a real environment. Installed well so far. At least we're getting to this part. So we'll just log in here real quick. and we'll take a look and see how it came out. So there's our background. Wow. So we got our branded wallpaper loaded in now. There's a cool toolbar, which I believe is Waybar. And there's our updates. Looks like there's 0 updates, if I'm looking at that right. And then our desktop. And then if you click on this, it opens up our full menu. Beautiful. It's nice. I think that's ROFI there opening up. And that's like the full menu. And here we got our different categories really laid out beautifully. This is awesome. And our office, our programming categories. Looks like we got Genie in there by default. Nice. Pulse audio control and our system tools. Even have Ranger and Kitty installed. Ranger is a console-based file manager, which is kind of cool. Thunar is installed. We got Kitty available and Alacrity as well for our terminal. So Alacrity is probably our default, I'm assuming there. And so then that was our updater and then our other settings here. And again, our Wetta aus Essen. So that is really cool. I love the weather app. That's just kind of something I like. For me, that's kind of a little bonus having a weather app on there. So I'm really liking that. And WTTR is a really cool console-based app. And I love the fact that it has a script embedded there in the Waybar. So that's a really nice touch. Very nice. And the theming is great on this. Apparently it's using looks like maybe the Suite theme there. So loving that as well. So let's hit OK there and see what else we got here. So up here on the Waybar, we also got our cheat sheet. So this is great to refer to. So there you can see our ROFI and our full launcher. Down here, we got our float settings and all kinds of things. Print screen, super Q to close. So the little penguin is a super key. And then we got our open browser there, which is super O for open. And super N for our file manager, which is Thunar. So gorgeous. This is great. I love having this cheat sheet available this way where I can just simply click that item up there in the Waybar and there it is. Very nice. So that gets you off to a really great start, I think. There's Super D and that opens up our ROFI there, the smaller one. If I hit Super Shift D, then we get the full menu again, just like we did when we clicked up in the upper left corner there. So nice, easy access to that, and that's a keyboard shortcut I'm used to. And this is I just hit Super N to open up our Thunar, and I have it in the view settings at the list mode right now. I believe by default it's in the icon mode, but when I was paused there for a second, I changed the view mode on it and revealed our hidden files or dot files by also pressing Control H. And then more things up here. There's our volume control. So if I just right click on that, it opens up our settings and scroll my mouse wheel there to adjust the volume. And there's our CPU info. And then over here, we got our network and our copy queue and our sys tray there. And then here we have our calendar with a clock. And I love the fact that you can click on this and you get a pop-up calendar. One thing I've noticed is in window managers, a lot of these environments, like on Polybar and so far, they're kind of lacking in the calendar. Here I can have this nice little pop-up. It's already configured and built in here on this Waybar. So a nice script already set up, and I really like that the calendar is just available there. And then, of course, our power bars. So we got our lock screen, suspend, log out, reboot, and shut down. Excellent. So that's just coolness personified, I think. So I'm going to go into our config here, and then I'm going to hit Hyper, and let's take a look at our Hyprland conf. So if I double click on that, that should open up in Genie, which it did. Excellent. And so here we can see all our cool stuff available. Nice. And so if we scroll down here, we can see all the different, it's pretty much categorized here, I think. Got our keyboard layout and so forth. General settings, decoration, animations. So a lot of things in here that you can play with. And so this is a very nicely laid out and configured Hyprland comp file already right off the bat. And if you're like me, it's nice to have one that's already configured nicely, and then you can kind of learn from it and build on it. And so here's some of our key bindings. And up here we got some example binds here. Even gives you a URL where you can kind of refer to that. But here we got some things like Super Shift R to reload your Hyprland comp. Although the Hyprland comp file will reload automatically anyway when you hit save, which is nice, but you can manually do it as well. And then here we got our super keys in combo with function keys. Super F1 will open up FireDragon, and if I remember right, Super O will also open it. So that's another way you can open it there, which is cool. Switching workspaces, of course, Super 1 through 9. And then if you want to move something to a workspace, then it would be Super Shift and then the number. And then you would be able to move your app over to a workspace. Nice. And then here you got your background, so that's where it'll load the wallpaper. So I believe that's a wallpaper utility. Not really familiar with that name, so. And then here we got exec once, our Waybar. That means it's going to execute at one time. So when you reload your config again, it won't keep reloading it. It'll just do it one time. And then here's our key bindings again, our main ones for our apps right now. So Super O for FireDragon, which is a fork of Firefox, by the way. And so if I wanted to change that, I could put a B there instead, for example. And then if I just pressed Super B, it would open up FireDragon. So like if I hit Super 3 here and go to another desktop, Super B, and there you go. It just opened right up. And really fast, too. I'm amazed at how zippy and fast this is. This is really cool. I'm just going to go to Help and About here and just kind of look at the version of FireDragon. It looks like it's 118.0.2. Nice. So latest one is of the time of filming here. Looking great. So let's go back over. I hit Super 2 to go back over to Genie here and look at more of our config. Again, really nicely laid out. They got everything organized very well and categorized. So that is cool too. We got our other bindings here and even for your brightness control. And I believe those numbers correspond to a keyboard key and then other bindings, opacity settings, and so forth. So yes, just a really well done config file. Even has your GTK settings here applied also at the end. And then our shortcut for launching our Calamares installer. So if you had to reinstall it, it's as simple as pressing Super I. So I'm just going to back out of this again, and we're back to our Thunar here. And so if I back up into our config and then Toadwick, I'm going to just change our view settings here. Oh, yeah, our side pane. Another thing I like to activate is our image preview. So that's kind of nice. When you want to view some images, you can see the preview in the side pane. And by default, we are in the icon view. And this is what you see when you open up your Thunar for the first time after installing Garuda. So this is your icon view. And again, it's using the beauty line. So that's a nice set of icons there, really beautiful. And Garuda uses beauty line quite often, especially in their Dragonized edition with the KDE desktop. I remember that was kind of the default theming. So if I hit this again, let's take a closer look at this. So these are everything, but then I can go and look at our accessories here, and we got copy queue and file search, firmware, calculator, all good stuff. And let's check out our, that's a modem manager. So, yeah, I was wondering what that was. I don't have a modem. I haven't had a modem since the 90s. What? So let's jump down here real quick. And here we got our GTK settings. That's kind of cool. So if we go in here, we can do a little bit of theming here, which is nice. So this is our icon theme. And by default, we got the beauty line here. So I like that. And that's probably my favorite there of the three. There's candy icons. I like candy icons too, actually. And then we got our Adwaita. And let's see if that changes on the fly. I think they do, but I'm gonna hit Super N here and just let's apply that. And I'm gonna hit Super N and open up my file manager and see if that changed. And it did. So that looks cool. No problem on changing the icons there. So if I were to switch that to candy icons, hit apply, it changes right on the fly, and you can see the change right there in the side. So that is nice as well. And then, of course, beauty line, that's the default. And applying that again. But I'm kind of stick with that candy icon. That's kind of nice. I'm in a candy icon mood. And then our cursors. The cursor changes right on the fly as well. So now it changed over to Adwaita just by selecting it. In fact, it switched over even before I hit apply. So there's our sweet cursor and then our Adwaita. And nice. So that is instant feedback. I like it. And then our font settings. Then under other, you can do some other random things like show images on your button, your UI settings and all that. I would typically keep that at its default. I don't think I would want to change that. Button images will have images appear on your button, but not these particular buttons, but on some buttons on your apps, if you like seeing the little icon images next to your text on a button. And then your preferences, which I typically leave at their default as well. There's our Rally widget theme, so if you like something light and Windows 7 looking, that's where you can switch it. Cool. So very nice. So I'm going to close out of this, I think. And let's jump back in our menu here and see what else we can see. So I come down here and we got our Garuda Assistant. And the Garuda Assistant is really nice. In fact, I like all the Garuda tools. They're really well done. And so if I go in here, our maintenance is our first thing. And this is handy when you need to refresh a keyring, reinstall your packages, remove orphans, and so forth. Edit your repositories, clear cache, remove the database lock. So if you in your terminal and you do a sudo pacman s something and it tells you pacman's locked, that's an easy way you can get in there if you don't remember the command to delete that file. And then we got our snapper settings, our system components. So here's our pipewire support is on there. We got input methods we can add in, like our Asian fonts and iBus if you want to use Pinyin. Very nice language support there. And also under our virtualization, looks like an easy way to install Virt Manager. Nice. And VirtualBox, Firewall D, and so forth. And then you can even easily put your user in the libvirt group without having to edit with Vim there. So that's nice too. I like that. Very handy. Kind of takes the pain out of installing Virt Manager. Well done, Garuda guys and gals. And so here, if we go up to settings, we can kind of see our other things. Our default shell is Bash, which is great with me. Bash is really my favorite shell anyways. But you also have Fish, ZSH, and the other one, I forgot. And then you can enable HBlock. Hey, Kiefer, you're off to HBlock today. Yay. And then we got performance tweaks, power save. And you can set it up for a guest user if you want guest user support. So that's pretty nice if you're kind of in a network environment or multi-user environment where you want some users to have limited access to your computer. That is great too. And then we got our system specs here and other. So really, yeah, just a great utility by the Garuda people there. And then onward and upward in here, the other one I really like. There's Garuda Gamer. That's cool. Then you got Garuda Settings Manager. And then here you can do some settings like your hardware configuration, your kernel settings. So if you want to add a kernel like LTS, you can do that. Here we got our user accounts, and that's always fun. So you can go in here and do stuff like add an account. Or here I can click on the image here and select an image that might be available. And just pick one of those, and then if I hit open, that should change my image. Or not. Because I might have picked the same image. And I did. Oh well. But that's where you would change your image. And then here you can add or remove users. So that is handy as well. So we'll jump out of there. And the other one I wanted to look at was the Garuda Welcome, because in the Garuda Welcome, we got lots of cool stuff in here to choose from. I can remember where it's at. Ah, there it is, the big giant button on the bottom. So the setup system assistant, that's what I was thinking of. If you jump in here, then this is a nice thing to do right after you install Garuda. You can pop in here and then just hit OK. And then the first time you use it, typically it's going to check for an update. And so it'll update you first because you want to be updated before you install new software anyway. So I'll probably just let that do its thing here real quick. And now it's updating. And there we go. All set. Awesome. So we'll just go next. And here we got our options. So this is cool. So here's our OS preferences, asking if you need printer support, additional Garuda wallpapers, or if you want to install pen testing software. So that's kind of cool. I think that has something to do with like security stuff. Not really sure what that is actually, but if I hit Garuda wallpapers, I'm good with that. So I'll go for that and authenticate, and then it should install those. And yes with that. Cool. And then just press enter after it's installed, and that'll take us back. So if I hit OK, that takes us out of it. So I got to go back in. So I'll hit OK here, re-authenticate. And looks like it's going to check for an update again. So now if we go back in here, the next tab is our input tab. So here we got Asian font support, simplified Chinese. I would probably install those if I was just setting up my own computer. And then app image launcher. These are some of the package managers that you can install, like PAMAC, some of our GUI front ends here, and GNOME software, Discover. So lots to choose from. That's awesome. And then kernels, if you want to add a kernel, you can easily do it here. Even set up for Linux Xmonad. Cool. And then a different Office suite. So how cool is that? You got your LibreOffice, but in addition, you can choose from Only Office, WPS Office, which is really great. You got Free Office, something called Yozo. Never heard of that. That's kind of cool. Calligra, Scrooge, which is a money finance app. Cool. Numeric. I'm going to try Yozo. I never heard of that. Maybe I'll just click that just for fun. And then next we got our browsers. So we can choose from Firefox, Chromium, Ungoogled, Vivaldi, Opera, Tor. Really nice. I like it. Lots of choices here. So I would probably choose Firefox if I was just going to add another browser. And then here's our email apps. Typically I don't use email apps, but if you like having a client, then that's a good place to do it. And then here we got our communication software. So you got Telegram, Discord, NeoChat, all the cool stuff. So Jitsi Meet, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, and Twitch and so forth. Nice. And then internet apps here. So if you want to install something like an FTP software, you got FileZilla. There's Putty for SSH. Very cool. And then you got audio software. Some of the software I typically install is like Audacity. I really like Audacity. And then we got our video software. So there's Kdenlive. That's typically something I install. And VLC. But I'll uncheck Kdenlive because that's kind of heavy for a demo here. And then we got our graphics. So here we got Krita. GIMP is something I install. Inkscape is another one of my staples that I go with every time. And then we got our multimedia apps to choose from. So there's like Hypnotics. I might as well click that too. I like that app. Shortwave, which is a nice radio app. And just lots of good things to choose from there. And then we got development. So here, I think I'll probably install Vim. You also got Visual Studio, which is nice. Visual Studio Code, that is. Qt Creator, that's something I like playing with. NetBeans, Kdevelop is really an excellent editor as well. Probably a little bit underrated in my opinion. So yes, very cool. And then we got our virtualization. So here again, you can choose from VirtualBox, GNOME Boxes, which is an easy version of Virt Manager. And Virt Manager is the one I typically use. So nice. And then you got others to choose from, like DroidCam. That's cool. I use DroidCam actually a lot. And Variety Wallpaper. I think I'll check that just for fun. There's a wallpaper app already built in that's configured in the Hyprland config. But why not? I'll just install it. So I'm going to hit yes, and we'll let it do its thing. And hopefully it'll install without hosing everything. And I'm sure it will. So there we are. We're back. and everything installed successfully. So I'm going to hit OK. And so there we go. That was cool. So that's one of my favorite aspects of Garuda when you first install Garuda. Having that setup manager is really great. So now I can see the apps that I installed. There's Audacity up there. And I see GIMP. Nice. So kind of forgot what all I installed. There's Hypnotics and Inkscape. Nice. And of course, it's a lot easier just to slide through the categories there. Now you can see Inkscape and GIMP, and over here in Office, and we got the Yozo suite. And I really don't know what that is, but it looks cool. I like the icons there. So let's see what I installed. And it kind of looks Chinese. Okay, well, I guess that's not something I can really use. But if you're Chinese or you're fluent in Chinese, this would probably be fun. So there we go. That's the Yozo equivalent to Calc or Sheets or Excel if you're a Windows user. So nice. But I think I'm going to pop out of here because not usable for me. So back in my menu. So I'm going to come over here, and there's Hypnotics. There's our VLC player, shortwave, excellent. And then also we got VLC player. VLC player is the latest version here, I believe, which is 3.2.20 or something like that, 3.0.20. And so that's a veterinary. All right, now there's only one more thing I want to address, and that's the weather. So up here, I'm going to show you how to change the city on your weather. So if we come up here, you can see, as we saw before, by default, this is set to Essen in Germany. I don't live in Essen, and most of you probably don't either. So how do we change that? Well, I'm going to show you right now. This is embedded in the Waybar up on top. So that's the config that we want to take care of. If I close this out and then open up using Super N, we can open up our file manager here, go into our .config folder, and then navigate down to the Waybar folder. And then you'll see in the Waybar we got the config file. So I'll just double click that, and it already took me there. So we just go down to the very bottom of the configuration file, and here you can see that it's showing the custom weather part of the module here. And so if you look at it in the URL, we have https://wttr.n/Essen. Essen is a city. So we can just change that to another city, and then we'll be good to go. So I could type something in there like Tampa. And then it should give me the weather in Tampa, Florida. And one thing I like about WTTR is if you live in a small town, there's a good chance that it's going to find it. WTTR is really good. And that's one thing I really like about it. So I'm going to go ahead and save that now. Now we have added Tampa in both URL references here, one there and then one down here. So now that should change. I might have to log out and back in to actually see the result there. So I'm going to just super Q here and close out of that. And yeah, we can still see the weather from Essen because it's definitely not 50 degrees here or in Tampa. And so I'm just going to close that right there. And then I'll just do a quick log out using Super Shift E. And that brings up my power window here. I also can access it right up there in the Waybar over on the right-hand side. But I'm just going to do a quick log out. And that's a really nice looking power strip too there. And then just log back in. So now I'm logged in, and now you can see up here that we're seeing 88 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's more consistent with Tampa, Florida. And so when I click on that now, it also will bring up the extended forecast for the Tampa Bay area. And so this will open right up, and there we go. Nice. So you can see all the details from November 9th to November 11th. And looks like it's going to be a warm week with sunshine and perfect weather. I'm going to the beach. So there you go. That's how you adjust the weather. Quite easy. It's just a simple adjustment to the Waybar for the weather module there. piece of cake. In other words, nothing to it. Well, okay, now I think it's time to give my 2 cents. Or 2.7. Doesn't matter. Anyways, the Garuda team did such an amazing job on this. This absolutely deserves my quadruple thumbs up. Absolutely. To sum it up in a single phrase, this is W0W triple bam, mom upside down. Wow. Yes, I absolutely want to use this for sure. I'm going to be popping this on and I'm going to daily drive it again. And hopefully those Wayland issues are worked out and I can do some successful content creation using Hyprland. Since I discovered it months ago, it has always been my favorite window manager out of all of them, even over BSPWM, with the exception of the whole content creation part. But that's the last and final hurdle, and that's a Wayland thing, not really anything to do with the Hyprland compositor as far as I know. I can't really think of enough good things to say about this. The Garuda team, they just never disappoint anyway. And with Hyprland, I think it's just over the top awesome. They got everything right. The display is right. They got the weather app in there, which is really great. The calendar pop-up on the clock. It really just checks all the boxes. So what can I say? 5 stars all the way. And with that, I hope this first look at Garuda Hyprland was helpful. And if it was, don't forget to hit that like button, the big thumbs up, and hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.